It was supposed to be just another family reunion. Food, drinks, laughter, and loud storytelling from my uncles. But somehow, this year's gathering took a different turn. I arrived at my aunt's massive compound in Abeokuta, dressed in a simple but elegant yellow lace gown. I carried a soft smile, my heart beating calmly. I was used to their jokes, the side comments. I had built a wall around myself after years of hearing the same thing. Bola. You still never bring man come house. Time don day go o. You wn born for old age. Abina so you go day single till menopause catch you. But this year was different. My cousin Funk was celebrating her wedding introduction, and everyone had gathered to rejoice. As soon as I stepped into the compound, all heads turned. Not in admiration, but judgment. I could feel it like fire crawling on my skin. My Uncle Teo didn't waste time. Everybody, make way he announced loudly, clapping. Make Una greet the general overseer of all single ladies in Nigeria. Laughter erupted. My younger cousins chuckled. Some tried to hide it, but I saw it. My own mother didn't say a word. She just looked down. That hurt more than all the jokes. Funk's mother added salt to the wound. Bola, you know say we fit still help you find small boy we go pity you now. Or you wan marry Oyinbo online. My chest tightened. I held back the tears, forcing a smile. I didn't want them to see me break. Not again. The celebration had ended, but the humiliation clung to me like a wet cloth I couldn't peel off. As I drove back home under the dim glow of the streetlights, the silence in the car was deafening. No music, no calls. Just the haunting echoes of their laughter replaying in my mind. General Overseer of all single ladies. The word stung. More than I expected. I had mastered the art of wearing a smile like armor. I had convinced myself that my success, my independence, my self-respect would always be enough. But tonight, they stripped me naked. Not physically, but emotionally. And I bled invisibly. My apartment in Lekki welcomed me with cold silence. I dropped my purse, kicked off my heels, and sank into the sofa. Tears began to fall, not the loud sobs of heartbreak, but the quiet, helpless tears of someone who had held on for too long. I was 40. No husband. No child. No one to defend me at that gathering. But was that my crime? I curled into myself, hugging my knees like a child. I remembered Daniel, my ex-fiancé. He had proposed under the rain, called me his queen, promised forever. Then one random Thursday afternoon, I found a picture of my best friend's pregnancy scan saved on his laptop. The same best friend who helped plan our introduction. They betrayed me. Together. I walked away. I walked away from love, from trust, from the idea that I needed a man to complete me. Since then, I threw myself into building my business. I grew it from a one-woman hustle into a firm representing top brands across West Africa. I made my first million at 33. I bought my first house at 36. I made the Forbes Women to Watch list at 38. Yet none of that meant anything to them. To my family, all that mattered was why I hadn't worn white lace and walked down the aisle. Is it that you're too proud? Or you don't know how to keep a man? They didn't know the nights I cried myself to sleep. The times I attended baby showers and smiled through the pain. The endless weddings where I caught the bouquet and handed it to someone else. The lonely holidays. The whispered prayers. The therapy sessions. I wasn't barren. I wasn't cursed. I just hadn't found someone who truly saw me. And over time, I stopped looking. I stopped hoping. I convinced myself that maybe love just wasn't for everyone. Maybe I was the exception. But that night, something changed. I wiped my tears. I stood before the mirror and looked at the woman staring back. Bold. Beautiful. Bruised. But not broken. If they won't respect me, I will respect myself, I whispered. If they won't celebrate me, I'll celebrate myself. And if love is coming, it better come correct. Because I'm no longer begging for a seat at any table. I'll build mine. I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment everything began to shift. 2 weeks after the family humiliation, I buried myself in work. That was always my escape, my sanctuary. My company, Elevate PR Solutions, was thriving. We had just wrapped up a major campaign with a cosmetics brand, and I was preparing to take a short break. But then, an unexpected email landed in my inbox. Subject: urgent, confidential PR request from M. Adeyemi Group. Body: Miss Bola Adebayo. Your firm comes highly recommended. We require a discreet, competent PR strategist to manage the launch of our West African operations. Please confirm availability. I blinked twice. The name rang a bell. Maxwell Adeyemi. A tech mogul. A ghost in the media, rarely seen, almost never interviewed. Rumors said he was a billionaire who hated attention. Others said he was arrogant, cold, unapproachable. But I saw an opportunity. I replied, and 2 days later, our meeting was set at a private executive lounge in Ikoyi. I arrived early, as always, dressed in a fitted navy blue blazer, gold accessories, and soft nude heels. I sat alone at a glass table, reading through the project brief, trying not to let my mind wander. Then the door opened, and everything shifted. He walked in, tall, broad-shouldered, with the quiet confidence of a man who didn't need to announce his presence. He wore a black shirt, sleeves rolled just enough to reveal a designer watch. His eyes scanned the room, calm, observant, until they found me. Miss Adebayo, he said, extending a hand. Maxwell Adeyemi. His voice was deep, grounded, his handshake firm, but respectful. And that was the first time in years I felt seen. Not as a single woman. Not as the general overseer of all single ladies. Not as someone to be pitied. Just me. The meeting was all business, at first. He listened when I spoke. Not just heard. Listened. Asked questions. Took notes. And when I challenged one of his ideas, he smiled. You're not afraid to speak your mind. I like that. We agreed on a 6-month engagement, and from that moment on, we were in constant contact. Daily strategy calls. Late-night revisions. Business trips to Abuja, Accra, and Nairobi. I was always composed, always professional, but inside, something was shifting. I found myself looking forward to his texts, his calls, the sound of his laugh, the way he never asked about my marital status, the way he respected my time. One evening, after a long client dinner in Victoria Island, he offered to walk me to my car. You never told me what drives you, he said, hands in his pocket, looking up at the moon. I paused. My mother, I finally said. She raised 3 of us alone after my father died. She taught me to survive, no matter what. And after my heart got broken, work became my shield. There was a silence, but not awkward, just still. Then he said something that made my breath catch. I see strength in your silence, Bola. But you don't have to keep fighting alone. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was in love. No, I was still cautious. Still protecting the broken parts of me. But for the first time in years, I wondered what it would be like to try again. To open the door, even slightly. I didn't know if Maxwell was the one. But I knew this wasn't just business anymore. Something was blooming. Quietly. Carefully. And the woman they mocked for being single at 40? She was about to make them eat their words. Another family gathering was looming. Uncle Teo's 60th birthday celebration. And trust me, I had every intention to avoid it. I had told myself I was done with those people. Done with smiling through shade, pretending not to hear the gossip behind my back. But Maxwell had other plans. We were in my kitchen one afternoon, casually making lunch, or more like, he was slicing onions terribly, and I was laughing at the mess he was making, when I mentioned the upcoming party. Wait, he said, wiping his hands and turning to me. You mean your famous Uncle Teo? I sighed. Yes, the same one who humiliated me in front of everyone months ago. Maxwell leaned back on the counter, crossed his arms, and raised an eyebrow. And you don't want to go? Why would I? So they can take another dig at me? Bola the spinster? Bola the woman nobody wants. He stepped forward, slowly, cupping my face with his hands. Bola, they don't define you. And they don't deserve your absence. They deserve your presence. Your success. Your peace. Your joy. And if they try that nonsense again, well, let's just say I don't mind shaking a few tables. I laughed, but he was serious. Very serious. Come with me, then, I said, challenging him. I wouldn't miss it for anything. That Saturday, I wore a deep red satin gown that glowed under the sun. It draped across my body like confidence stitched into fabric. I kept my makeup soft, but my presence loud. My hair was swept into a regal bun, with gold earrings that dangled like statements. And Maxwell came in a custom navy blue kaftan, embroidered in gold. His wristwatch alone could pay for the entire party. But it wasn't about money. It was about his poise, his presence, and the fact that he didn't let go of my hand once. As we entered the compound, the music paused slightly, almost like the DJ had sensed a shift in the atmosphere. Heads turned. Mouths fell open. Aunties froze mid-conversation. My cousin Funk's eyes widened like saucers. Even my mother looked confused at first, then her lips parted in slow-motion surprise. Uncle Teo almost dropped his drink. I greeted politely, calm and unbothered. But I noticed the sudden change, the whispering, the curious stares, the forced smiles. The same people who once mocked me were now on their best behavior. Maxwell greeted everyone respectfully, commanding attention without even trying. And when he pulled out a chair for me and adjusted my dress slightly as I sat, I caught a glimpse of Funk's fiancée glaring in jealousy. Tables had turned. As dinner was being served, Maxwell stood up and tapped his glass gently. The clinking stopped the music. Conversations died. All eyes turned to him. "Good evening, everyone," he said, his voice smooth but clear. "Thank you for welcoming me into your home. I came today not just to celebrate a great man's 60th birthday, but also to honor someone very dear to me." He turned to me, and I felt my throat tighten. "Bola, I have met CEOs, presidents, kings, but no one has carried grace, intelligence, and quiet strength like you. You've taught me what dignity looks like in the face of adversity." He reached into his pocket. Gasps. Actual gasps. Then, he bent on one knee. I froze. This moment isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about telling you that you are enough, that you are worthy, that I see you, and I love you. He opened the box. The ring sparkled like revenge served cold, and diamond cut. "Bola Adebayo, will you marry me?" The silence was deafening. Then chaos. Aunties screamed. Cameras came out. My mother broke into tears. Real tears. Funk's mother was fanning herself like she was about to faint. And Uncle Teo? Uncle Teo was speechless. For once in his life, I stared at Maxwell. At the man who came into my life not to complete me, but to remind me I was never broken. I said yes. Not because I wanted to prove them wrong, but because I had finally chosen me. And love had followed. From the moment I said yes, everything shifted, not just in that compound, but in the hearts of every single person who had mocked, belittled, or pitied me. Suddenly, I was no longer the old maid, the career woman who missed her chance. No. Now, I was Bola, the woman who bagged the billionaire. The narrative changed so fast, it almost made my head spin. The same aunts who whispered behind my back now pulled me aside to give advice I didn't ask for. "Bola, you see? We always said your own will come. You know, we were just worried for you. It wasn't bad intention, oh." Even Uncle Teo, the king of mockery, approached us with a forced laugh. "Ah, Maxwell, I hope she doesn't bully you too much, oh. You know career women, N." Maxwell just smiled politely, but I could see the fire in his eyes. He hated pretense, almost as much as I did. But I wasn't angry, because the truth was, they never really changed. They just saw something new to respect. The man standing beside me. Back home that evening, after the proposal and the photos and the noise, I stood alone on my balcony overlooking the Lekki skyline. The wind was soft against my skin. My phone buzzed non-stop, messages from cousins, friends, and people who had ghosted me for years. But I wasn't thinking about any of them. I was thinking about the girl I used to be. The one who cried herself to sleep after Daniel betrayed her. The one who sat quietly at weddings, watching other women catch the bouquet. The one who faked smiles at family events just to survive the day. The one who questioned her worth because she hadn't found the one. And now here I was, not because I got engaged, not because of a diamond ring, but because I had chosen to live fully, love intentionally, and never settle for less than I deserve. The months that followed were filled with love and clarity. We planned a small but elegant wedding, not for Instagram, not to prove anything, just for us. A quiet garden ceremony, just 50 guests, and a vow that wasn't just romantic, it was real. But something stirred in me after that proposal. I realized how many women were still stuck in the same shame I once carried. Still hearing the same comments at family events. Still thinking they were late in life because they were unmarried at 35, 40, 45. So, I did something radical. I started an NGO, Still Whole, a community for single women over 30 to find strength, healing, and purpose. We held monthly brunches, mentorship circles, therapy sessions, business funding workshops, and safe spaces where no one was allowed to ask, "Why aren't you married?" I once thought I had failed because I didn't follow the timeline society expected. But in truth, I had only just begun. They laughed at me. They mocked me. They whispered. They doubted. But what happened later? They watched me walk into that same compound with a man who saw beyond age and status, a man who saw me. And more importantly, I walked in already whole. So to every woman reading this, whether you're single at 28 or 48, you are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not less. Society may write your story in pencil, but remember, you hold the pen.